I have resumed recording and we are going live on YouTube, which should happen in just a moment.
Great. Just let me know when that is done and I'll start my spiel. I'll pull up the agenda while we're...
All right, we are live on YouTube.
Great, it's spiel time. All right, share my screen. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
All right. I now call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to ANC 1E's October General Body Meeting. A few administrative notes before we get started. Today's meeting is being recorded. Closed caption is available for each user by clicking the button on the toolbar below. Please submit questions through the Q&A function, also located on the toolbar below. Commissioners will be keeping an eye on the Q&A throughout the evening. If you're calling in rather than participating through the web, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. I'll now ask Secretary Jacobson to please conduct the roll call.
I will now conduct the roll. Thank you, Chair Footer. Commissioner Gallagher.
Present.
Commissioner Gallagher is present. Commissioner Lancaster. I know she said she wouldn't be able to make it, but I also do not see her in the audience, so not present. Commissioner Ray.
Present.
Commissioner Ray is marked present. Commissioner Brown. Also unable to make it tonight. She's not here. Commissioner Newland, and he's not able to make it either, and I'm just double checking the attendees list. He's not here. Commissioner Jacobson, that's me, present, and Chair Footer.
Present.
All right, with 4 of 7 seated commissioners in attendance, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right. Per DC law, the ANC 1E meeting was noticed to the community via listserv, social media, website, and e-calendar. Moving to the approval of the agenda, tonight we will go through our consent agenda where we only have one item. Then we'll move on to community announcements and presentations where we have a very special guest, Councilmember Brianne Nadeau. And then we will go on to official business where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 official pieces of business with the potential 6 that I do want to ask people about. And now may be a good time to do it. I have a request for a stipulated license that I have written up. It is not in my S&D, and I was not able to touch base with the commissioner that it directly impacts. I would like to add it to the agenda, but want to kind of ask if anybody has any objections to that. I would hate for us to vote it down if people had any objections, but want to make sure that we're responsive to the community member or to the community. So any objections to me including a resolution for approving or supporting a stipulated license for a restaurant on Georgia Avenue? All right, hearing none, I will add it. I'm going to add it to zoning and economic development. Give me one moment, and thank you for your patience as I put this in here. All right. With that, are there any other additions or edits to the agenda? All right, hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the agenda as written.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection? All right, hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is adopted. Thank you. All right, so now we will move on to the consent agenda. Just a reminder, all matters listed under consent are considered by the commission to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any commissioner may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request. The consent agenda today includes the minutes from our last meeting in September and nothing else. Are there any questions or any additions to the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the consent agenda as written.
Is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, the motion passes and the consent agenda is adopted. All right, moving right along. So we will now move to community announcements. Commissioners and members of the community can use this time to make public announcements, distribute information, or alert the community about issues. We have a very special guest with us this evening, Councilmember Brianna Doe, who'll have 10 minutes to present, then take questions from commissioners and the public. After our special guest, we'll move to commissioners, then the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, also known as MOCRS, and then members of the public. All speakers will have 3 minutes. With that, I will ask if we can promote Councilmember Nadeau.
She has been promoted to panelist.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, do you want to take the agenda down just to open the screen up?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So good to be with you. I'm coming to you live from ANC 1E, so keeping it in the family. No, it's great to be with you. As you know, I am a constituent of yours as well. So I am thrilled to be here tonight and wanted to just bring some updates from the council. I'll try to keep it really loose in terms of topics so that if folks have questions, we can try to get to them. But it's the end of the council period. A council period lasts 2 years. It starts in January of the year after the election and runs until the December right before the next one. And so what that means is we are furiously working to pass all of the pending bills because at the end of the year they die and have to be reintroduced for consideration. Realistically, if your bill isn't out of committee by mid-November or late November, it's probably not going to get the 2 votes it needs to move forward. So that's our goal in our committee, which is the Committee on Public Works and Operations, is to get as much as we can done by mid-November. Just a couple things that we are focused on in committee that I suspect y'all care about. One very hot topic is the fraudulent tags bill. So it would hold drivers and vehicle owners accountable and give greater authority to DPW to tow cars with fake tags and go after sellers of fake tags. And the plan is to mark it up November 14th in our committee so that we can get it done. Under the current law, even a vehicle with no license plates cannot be towed unless it has 2 or more unpaid tickets, which makes everyone crazy. Just visit Twitter, you'll see the public does not like this. But it also empowers the DC government to proactively investigate and shut down dealers and distributors of falsified and counterfeit temporary tags. So that classifies that as an act of forgery, which is a whole category of crime that we can tap into then. And one of the things to keep in mind is, legislation is important, but ensuring we have adequate funding to implement and staffing is also equally important. And I've added close to 40 new parking enforcement, booting, and towing positions in the budget that just kicked in. So they'll be able to help with this. And one of the other things that I did related, but not going to directly assist with fake tags, is we have given tow cranes, tow trucks, license plate readers, so they don't have to wait for someone to tell them there's a vehicle that needs to be towed. If they come across one with their scanner, they can just have at it, which is pretty awesome. So anything that doesn't make it through the end of the year is going to get reintroduced. I got a couple that might need that. But anything that's had a hearing does not have to have another hearing. So you can make progress and then continue that progress. I'm expecting to introduce several bills related to housing, including one on expanding rent control and an environmental bill to add back the bottle deposit here in the District of Columbia to help us get all those plastic and aluminum and glass cans out of our waste stream, out of the street, out of the river, and back into the actual reuse stream, which I'm very excited about. And then I'm about to introduce legislation around place management, which is a super sexy term, but essentially it's we're doing a place management authority for U Street and for Columbia Heights, which will allow us to build a board of community members, businesses, government to work together and coordinate all the services that we need day to day. So, you know, the clean team, the Main Street, police, and all the other things that we need. Depends on the neighborhood, which things you need. But for U Street, we're funding that through the parking management zone. For Columbia Heights, that would be capturing garage revenue like we used to do. So you'll see that bill soon. It's like 34 pages long. Because we're creating a new thing here that's not like anything we've ever done before. But parking benefit districts are a common model in other places. And that's what our parking zones were originally intended to be, but that kind of got abandoned along the way. So there's that. And then believe it or not, once we get to the new year, it'll be performance oversight season really quickly. So it's a great opportunity for ANCs and community members to come and testify before the council. And we grill the agencies at that time on how they've been spending the money in the new fiscal year and implementing things. And then after that, we segue right into the budget season. So it's rolling. I want to mention a couple new things that have been going on. So you've probably heard me talk about the concerns I have and the issues that we have with the 911 call center. Constituents have issues where they've been put on hold or nobody picks up at all. Their call gets dropped. Response times are not what they need to be. So I had the opportunity to visit yesterday and really talk with the leadership team there about the day-to-day operations. I got to go onto the call floor, which is very interesting. You can see there's the 311 folks, there's the 911 folks, there's the dispatchers who take the information from the original call takers and get it out into the field. The nurse triage line, and the DC Fire Department also has some staff co-located there, as does the Department of Behavioral Health. You know, we had a hearing today as well on more transparency. And I think at the end of the day, it's just I'm very tired of excuses, and we need to see these problems solved right away. There was underspending last year for OUC staffing, which is very disappointing because we know that the call takers get overwhelmed and, you know, they hit a peak more often during the week than they should. And so that is, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to go and see with my own eyes. We're going to be doing a joint hearing with Judiciary to look at the technology issues. But my committee oversees the Office of Chief Technology Officer, and they've been working on tech upgrades there. There's some issues with the facility, and like, for example, the electricity there sometimes goes out. But at the end of the day, ensuring that we have a very robust staff there and that everyone is supported is what's going to ultimately get us through. So this continues to be a top priority of mine. The Judiciary Committee is doing a series of events, a series of hearings and visits. Mine was a surprise visit yesterday, which is, I don't tend to, it's not my preference to do a surprise visit actually, because I don't think you always get everything you want out of a surprise visit, but it is sometimes interesting to catch people by surprise to make sure they haven't just like tidied up before you get there. So it was fruitful. A few upcoming things. the Georgia Avenue Bus Priority Project community engagement process is going on right now. There's an open house tomorrow at the Shaw Library between 4:30 and 7. And then there's a pop-up at the Petworth Farmers Market on Saturday from 9 to 1. You can go by any time and talk with DDOT folks about the plans. This is something that the ANCs have been very vocal about and supportive of. We wish we had more money so we could have done the Cadillac version of this, but I think it's still going to be great and it's going to be a huge improvement for the corridor. The Ward 1 part of Georgia Avenue, Lower Georgia Avenue, has not gotten the same streetscape enhancements that Upper Georgia has. And in part, that's, you know, the bus project. So getting this moving forward is really important. My next Brienne on your block is right here in 1E at Sunny's. It's Tuesday night, the 29th at 7 p.m. Nope, I think it's at 6 p.m. My memo says 7, but I'm pretty sure it's at 6. And if you haven't been before, you could just stop by and chat with me about whatever's on your mind, whether it's a constituent services need or a policy issue that you want to talk about. So I'll stop there in case there's questions, because I know you have a full agenda. I'm happy to talk on really any topic you like.
Great, thank you very much. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Ray.
Thanks, as always, for coming here to our penultimate meeting we were talking before. It's coming to an end. I'm coming to an end. The one issue that I, of course, love, yes, I know, that I would love to see, know that it's on the right path is Bruce Monroe. So the continuation legislation has to get passed. Have you heard anything about where that is?
I haven't, although Councilmember McDuffie has been a really strong ally on this, and I know that they plan to get it done by the end of the year. So it isn't one of those things where we're going to be looking at a reintroduction. And so we'll stay on top of it, but it isn't the kind of bill where you say have to like write a long report or do any analysis. So I'm not particularly worried about it, but yes, that is, and Commissioner Brown asks me about that every time I see her. So she's also very focused on it, and that's good. And what's really special about it is that this ANC and 1A and 1B have all been in lockstep with me and the mayor on this. There's never been any daylight. And so we just want to keep it moving forward.
Thank you.
Commissioners, other questions? Commissioner Jacobson.
Yeah, sorry, thanks for coming again tonight. Appreciate that. The temporary tag bill, does that still include license plate blockers as a reason to tow and boot? Okay, cool.
Yeah, important one. There's some in 1E that I think we'd be able to scoop up right away, actually.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Yeah, council member, thank you very much for coming, as always. Particularly excited about the legislation to require people to actually register their vehicles. That would be great. I am happy to volunteer. I have an ongoing list for at least my district and the two adjacent ones. More than 150 vehicles currently on it. So as soon as that passes, let's go. Thanks very much.
Wow. Okay. So we'll make sure they start the kickoff over here.
That would be amazing.
You know, one of the things that's really interesting is DPW has been so focused on getting the scofflaw vehicles, the ones with unpaid tickets, and over the years, and I've really pushed them to go after the ones that have reckless driving violations, because that's, for safe streets, that's the priority. They've been doing so much of it, they had to lease a third impound lot. So, yes. Sorry, the comment, Commissioner, that's the dates that I mentioned.
Yeah, if we've
Okay.
got that written somewhere.
I can post them. They're in my memo. I can post them really quick.
Yes.
So yeah, but yeah, it's the towing operation is actually rather robust at this point. And then they kind of run out of space until they can scrap the vehicles again. So it's wild.
Commissioners, any other questions? All right, I just have one. With respect to the place management. Very exciting.
That's
Cannot
right.
wait to see it. Does it articulate any boundary lines yet within the U Street corridor? And if so, does it match the parking performance? It does. Great. So 1E
More or
will
less.
be.
Yeah. You know what? I shared that, but I don't think yeah,
I
there we
got
go.
it. I got
Okay,
it
cool.
for you.
So yes, and we can get you the draft for sure. There's a draft and there's a deck. And if it was a
Yes.
different kind of meeting, I'd do the deck for you, but that's not the meeting that we're having tonight. And frankly, you really do want the David Many treatment of the deck anyway.
Right.
I'm not as good at it as he is, but yes. And so we're calling the U Street one the Duke District. So it's like the Duke Plan Plus, basically, which is also kind of what the part they're all, the arts overlay, the parking zone, it's all the same. And the conversation about the boundaries is actually really important because there's some other things going on in the ecosystem right now. Like one, Howard has some developers that we're talking about maybe doing a north-south bid down 7th Street. We're actually trying to bring them under the tent. Spend your money with us in the Duke District, rather than trying to connect neighborhoods that just don't feel cohesive in order to make a minimum bid collection, right? And then Shaw Main Street's been shopping a bid around for a while too. So this is separate and different, and it doesn't mean a bid couldn't exist, but we are trying to get people to focus on boundaries that mean something, the way the Duke plan has. So
Great.
yeah.
And you guys are anticipating introducing this early next year, so it will
I think we might
potentially
do
get a
it
hearing.
this year. Yeah, we might do
Yeah.
it this year because it's been we've been talking about it so long. I mean, really since we kicked off the U Street Safety Initiative several years ago. So I really just want to get it out there. Even if it becomes, even if we could have discussions in community before it has a hearing too, if it's helpful. And we have been having those with folks to try to build support and buy-in because I think it's really important to have that out the gate. But yeah, and the reason it's so long is there's a ton of definitions in it because a parking management zone, a community management entity is it's not a bid. A bid is very straightforward. This is much more robust. So
Great.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We do have a number of attendees from the community. So if you don't mind, I'll ask members from the community if they have any questions. So members of the community, if you have any questions for Councilmember Nadeau, please raise your hand. We'll call on you in the order we receive it. I do see that we have a couple of people who are joining us via phone. And so if you would like to raise your hand, you can dial *9.
Sometimes you just answer all the questions when you
You're
talk.
just that good. Yeah.
All
right.
No, this
Well,
is great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining. We really appreciate your periodic participation in our meetings. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great meeting.
Yeah.
Take care.
Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
All right. I'm going to share my screen again and bring the agenda up. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Great. All right. So moving along. So now we'll take any announcements from commissioners. Does anybody have any announcements? Commissioner Jacobson.
Thanks, Chair Footer. I just wanted to quickly mention that I held a Sidewalk Palooza event with a bunch of Howard students. This is almost 2 weeks ago at this point, and got a lot of great feedback on improvements that they would like to see to the roads surrounding the campus in terms of increasing safety, especially with the student that died earlier this year, Mohammed Samara. So looking forward to continuing to work with those Howard students and finding other ways to help engage them in the ANC.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other announcements?
Can I just announce that I misspelled quarterly on the agenda?
Say that again?
I misspelled quarterly on the agenda under the budget. So if you could fix that, that's an important, unfortunately, it's an important one. Thanks.
Really. Thank you. All right, if there are no other announcements from commissioners, we will now move to Anthony Robertson with Mayor's Office for Community Relations and Services, MOCRS. Is Anthony with us?
He is being promoted.
Great. All right. Anthony, welcome. Can you hear us? If you can hear us, you are on mute.
Hello. How y'all doing? How you doing, commissioners?
How are
Yeah,
you? Yes, please. You got 3 minutes.
no problem. Thank y'all for having me. Commissioner Footer, I sent you PowerPoint because I couldn't get it, I couldn't drop it in the chat. Did you get it?
Let me take a look.
And while you're doing that, I just have a few announcements. It is leaf season right now, and it's going to officially kick off on the 28th. As you've probably been seeing little flyers on your door from the DPW. That started on the 14th, and this will continue until February the 8th. So get excited about that. And so what's unique about this too is I flagged a few of the blocks in 1E. 1E. I think I did Harvard, Columbia Road, Irvin, Kenyon. It sounds like I'm about to go all the way down, but no. But I think I flagged those just so they can get some extra attention because I know that it went through far as the cleaning and when regular season it was some problems far as just the consistency. So I flagged those to get some extra attention, some special attention. So I don't be surprised if they come through there twice. Well, they're gonna come through twice anyway. It might come through there 3 times. With that, also looking for some snow team heroes. Anyone's interested in helping the elderly sweep their walks, please reach out. Oh, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Commissioner. Thank you. See, so you can scan that and you can sign up to be a snow team hero. And with that, also the 311. We're encouraging everybody to download the app, use 311. I am aware, and I'm flagging this also to 301 that the app for the submitting has been a little glitchy. It takes a long time for it. So you also can call in. You can do it. So there's more ways you can actually go in and log in. I believe that is it for the mayor's office tonight. But thank you. And I do. Commissioner Jacobson, it was good to see you on the walk with the Howard Walk, and I learned a lot. So thank y'all.
Anthony, real quick, I do see from your presentation there's a pie, Adams Morgan apple pie.
No.
Am I looking at the wrong ones?
No, that's the right one. But that should have came out. That was last week.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the pie's gone. The pie's gone. But also on there's for the community and for everyone, there are names of different agencies that if you need to contact someone, they're good contacts, and that if you're having problems, feel free to reach out, and they're more than willing to help.
Great, thank you very much, commissioners. Any questions? Commissioner Jacobson.
Sorry for being the more of a comment person, but wanted to thank you again for coming out, Mr. Robertson, to the Sidewalk Palooza. And then in terms of leaf pickup, appreciate you flagging Kenyon. I've noticed a lot of issues with Kenyon, especially in the bike lane, and it getting quite slippery as we get closer to winter and freezing temperatures and all the mess that the leaves would make. So any additional attention we can get there is really appreciated.
No problem. Thank you.
right. We'll turn to members of the community. If you have any questions for Anthony with the Moker's office, please raise your hand. Again, for those members who are joining us via phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Brad Howard.
Brad should be able to speak.
Hi, Brad.
Hi,
Hi, Brad. Welcome. Yes, we can.
I was just trying to scan the QR code and it took us to a blank link. So I didn't know if there's another way we could sign up.
Yeah, well, yes, you can. If you can reach out to me and I'll help connect you to it.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Am I on the first one, my information's on there? Commissioner Fuller?
On the first slide?
On the first slide. I want to make sure I sent all the slides.
Yes.
It is. Yes. Mr. Brad, you can reach out to me or Kendall and we guide you through it.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Put this in the chat. Oops. I cannot. Commissioner Jacobson or Ray, would you guys mind just grabbing his email and putting it in the chat? For some reason, it's not working for me on the slides.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I see.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. The chat for me was disabled, so I was trying to drop it in there earlier, but
no problem. Looks like we have two more questions. The first one, and thank you, Brad, appreciate it. So the next one, we have a 917780 number. So we'll pull that one up.
That number should be able to speak now.
All right, 917.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Amy. I am representing Astu Kitful for. I think I spoke to Mr. Footer a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So
hi, Amy. Yeah. Thank you for joining. I tell you what, and I apologize. I should have said this earlier. If you're here to discuss official business that the ANC is going to consider later on in the agenda, you'll have an opportunity to speak at that time. And so the community announcements are for things outside of that. So the stipulated license that we had talked about was added to the agenda, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
enjoy, Ms. Amy.
All right. So the next hand that we see up is a 202-635 number. So we'll bring
They
that
should be
up.
able to speak now.
All right. 202-635. We have promoted you, and you're on mute if you're speaking to us.
Good evening, Joycelyn Thompson. I'm trying to join the meeting through the webinar. It's not allowing me to by clicking this link.
We can try to send the link one more time while you're calling through your phone. Maybe give us your email address and we can send it to you really quickly.
Joycelyn Thompson at Hotmail.
Actually, why don't you just well, you're on your phone. Yeah, let's try that. Can Commissioner Ray, do you mind?
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. All right, we'll try to send it. We'll try to email it to you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other members of the community that have any comments or questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Anthony, for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Well, I ain't going away. I want to listen to some more too, so I'm here.
Great. Stick around.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So I did specifically ask if there are members of the public that had questions for Anthony, but now I do want to ask more generally, are there members of the public that have any announcements that they would like to share with the commission? If so, at this time, please raise your hand and we'll call on you in the order which we receive it. All right. Seeing none, we will move on through our agenda. All right, I'm going to start sharing the screen again. All right. Now we will move to official business, which has been organized into our 3 standing committees. The committee chairs will begin by providing a brief update on their committee's activities from October. Then we will walk through each item of business and they'll have 5 minutes per item to present. They'll take questions from commissioners and then audience members. With that, we'll start with the Transportation and Public Space Committee, and I kick it over to Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair Footer. It was a relatively light agenda for the committee this month. We just got a presentation from DDOT on the Columbia Heights Crosstown Bus Priority Project, which is something that this ANC and previous ANCs in the area have advocated for. So we're excited to see that project get further into the planning phase. I'll drop some links in the chat for looking at the current discussion for it. There are no specific plans as of right now. This is just very early in the planning phases, but you can follow up with DDOT's website and take a closer look at some of their materials and their longer term plans so you can provide feedback at a later date. The other item, which we did not discuss at the committee level, since I think the plans are released shortly before the meeting, but that's the resolution around the Georgia Avenue Bus Priority Project. So maybe we can pull that up and chat through it. And I'm just grabbing the link. So this resolution is mostly a copy of what we passed a year ago at our October 2023 meeting, talking about the bus priority project and the importance to the corridor. So just highlighting different statistics about the corridor and the bus priority project. You know, there's 23,000 trips daily during the week taken on the buses on 70 and 79. And that actually represents 49% of the people who are traveling Georgia Avenue. So that's a pretty cool statistic to see that DDOT gathered. You know, Georgia Avenue is a Vision Zero high crash corridor. The bus lanes themselves would end up reducing delays on the bus due to traffic congestion and help raise the visibility of high quality bus service. DDOT has recommended offset lanes wherever possible on Georgia Avenue to allow for reductions in delays and to reduce fatalities along Georgia Avenue. And then a few other statistics about DC. So 1 in 3 DC residents commute to work by public transit, and 68% of the residents who take the bus have household incomes below 50,000. 40% of households in our census tract do not have access to a personal vehicle and use alternative methods to travel. And then the last piece is just talking about dangerous drivers that might use the bus lane that will eventually be put in to speed or swerve around vehicles that might be stopped for pedestrians in a crosswalk. So the main items that we're resolving, and I appreciate the commissioners who have given me feedback on this already, but the main items are, you know, we generally support what DDOT has proposed. I feel like actually a bullet point was disappeared from here.
I did make some edits just to make it a little bit clearer, and
Okay.
One of the bullets
yeah,
just stating
okay,
it supports with not a
totally fine. Yep. So we support it. We want DDOT to consider implementing raised crosswalks along Georgia Avenue on the streets that intersect with Georgia Avenue to increase traffic safety there. I don't expect DDOT to actually do that as part of the bus priority project, but just trying to keep pushing them on thinking about this for the corridor. Want them to explore mitigations that make it more difficult for drivers to switch into lanes near intersections, including stationary intersection enforcement cameras at high concern areas. Appreciate the recommendation there, Commissioner Ray. And then continuing to partner with WMATA on the Clear Lanes program to disincentivize drivers from using those lanes. And the last piece is just allowing me to represent the commission on the resolution if there are follow-up questions.
Great. Commissioners, any questions about the resolution? Seeing none, I'll turn to members of the community. Members of the community, if you have any questions for the commissioner with respect to the resolution supporting Georgia Avenue Bus Priority Project, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none. If there are no other questions, I will now accept a motion to adopt the resolution supporting Georgia Avenue Bus Priorities Project.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Is there any dissent? All right, seeing none, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the support. And then the last item for the committee is that we are meeting next on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 p.m.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, we will move on to Zoning and Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Ray.
Thank you. We had a meeting this month, and the subject was for one presentation from Howard University regarding its map amendment along Georgia Avenue, particularly along the eastern border of Georgia Avenue, where the university, the campus plan is. This is an update. We had heard about this a couple of months ago. We're generally supportive of it at that time, but the discussion led to that the LaDroit Park area had some additional questions. This map amendment bleeds out from 1E into 1B, and so they were having meetings with LaDroit Park and ANC 1B in order to come to some agreement on the portion of the map amendment which falls into that section. So we held off doing anything final with the committee until discussions with those organizations came to a close. As we understand it, it was reported back that they have reached an agreement, and we got a small update on what that is, but those are areas that fall outside of our jurisdiction, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the resolution referring to them. So we do, however, mention the very technical. In fact, that's a copy and paste right out of the zoning case. We mentioned I did take from the Office of Planning to reinforce that this map amendment is still within the campus plan. So it still has to follow issues of the campus plan when it comes to housing. So this would be limited right now to campus housing. However, as we have seen in the past, Howard University can make an amendment to try to pull some of this out of the campus plan if they for some reason wanted to do that, in which case then it would come back and have another opportunity to discuss it. And then I do reference that the university reached an agreement with community groups that are outside of 1E's commission area. So we end up oh, yes, that we did not identify, that the committee again met and did not identify any issues that we have with the changes. Those changes are in compliance with the zoning map amendments that were made, not map amendments, I'm sorry, the comprehensive plan map amendments that were made during the last update to the comprehensive plan, which calls for higher density along Georgia Avenue. Therefore, the committee voted 3-1 to support the map amendment. There was one vote against, and the final be it resolved simply identifies me as the person to discuss, although I don't necessarily know that we will participate in the zoning hearings. We'll probably just provide this backup unless someone comes forward with information that we needed to attend. So with that, I'll give it over to any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? All right, seeing none. Members of the public, any questions for commissioners with respect to resolution supporting Howard University's map amendment zoning commission case number 24-01? If so, please feel free to raise your hand. All right, seeing none. If there are no other questions, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the resolution supporting Howard University's map amendment zoning commission case 24-01.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, motion passes and the resolution is adopted. All right. Commissioner Ray, do you want me to just dive into this newest edition?
Yeah,
of the-
I'll just say for the community members that these issues of license agreements do come to the ZED. If in the future you see a placard along Georgia Avenue and have questions about alcohol licenses or cannabis licenses, that committee would be the one to go to. We generally, review them there, but this one came up sort of outside of, not I shouldn't say outside of the cycle. It kind of came between cycles, and we have a request that we consider a stipulated license. And for those that have never heard of that term, it allows for an establishment to file its application, to begin operations under that application before the period has ended where the community can come forward if it has any issues. I will preemptively say that if a community member, but if community members that meet the requirements come forward after we've done a stipulated license, then ABCA would rescind the stipulation. So it is still possible to come forward with issues, even if later on tonight we vote in support of the stipulation. So with that, I'll give it over to you, Chairman.
No, thank you. That's perfect. And to that exact point, I do want to just emphasize that this is not in my SMD. This is in Commissioner Brown's SMD. And this did come to us a little on the later side. And so because the commissioner is currently out of town and unable to participate, I helped to kind of volunteer to support this. And as Commissioner Ray had mentioned, there's an opportunity for us to still be involved and address any issues that the community may have. But after speaking to the applicant, this seems like a pretty easy opportunity to support the community through the holidays. With that, I do want to ask if we can bring up, name is Amy Solomon, and I believe that as it's written in the attendees list, it's yes. Thank you for raising your hand. So for Ms. Solomon, whose hand is raised, if we don't mind bringing her up.
She's been promoted to panelist.
Great. Ms. Solomon, welcome. Can you hear us? If you're speaking, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you for having
No
me.
problem. Thank you. Please, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of a rundown about the Ethiopian restaurant and what you guys are up to.
So it is an Ethiopian restaurant. So I am just representative of that restaurant, just helping them with the application. And so as far as my understanding, they just want to be able to survive and during the waiting period, like the 45 days until the placard is over. So they needed like just to keep their customers coming in, because the food kind of needs wine and beer accompanied kind of food that they're serving. So I really need. I mean, they would love your support until they get their license, the full license. If there is anything that they need to correct, they need to in terms of the hours of operation, might be if it's inconvenient, then we can change that. They're willing to cooperate with that. And it's a trial time for you guys to see how they are behaving.
And to that exact point, I just started sharing the placard announcement, and a couple of key things just to note on here is that it's a pretty small location with a seating capacity of 30 and total occupancy of 36. The hours are pretty standard with other establishments up and down Georgia Avenue corridor. And they are also requesting an entertainment endorsement and holiday extension of hours. So I'm sure there will be some additional questions as we get further on down the path around the entertainment endorsement. But looking at the map and where this is located, it is directly across the street from the park. And so it is in less of a residential or directly impacted residential area on Georgia Avenue without any kind of large apartment building or anything of that nature.
Right. And also it has a basement, so the basement most likely to be the band entertainment will be downstairs. So it wouldn't be impact in terms of the making noise and things like that.
Great. Commissioners, any questions?
I guess when you say a band, I mean, what do they envision the entertainments to be beyond is it just the band, or and if so, any particular style of?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I did visit the place a few times, and it's a very, very small place, and I really you can barely fit more than a keyboard and a singer maybe. But they want to have the chance of to just show the culture in terms of dancing and all but I'm pretty sure they don't have space for that. So I think they just want to have it when they have any holiday, Ethiopian holidays and stuff like that, and they want to make sure that they have that chance to showcase their culture. But I don't think, there's not enough space to make really that full band.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Members of the public, if you have any questions with respect to the resolution supporting a stipulated license, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing none. If there are no other questions from commissioners, I'll accept a motion in approving the resolution supporting a stipulated license for S2 LLC.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Is there any dissent? All right, seeing none, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted. Ms. Solomon, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will get this signed and send it over to ABCA.
I really thank you very, very much. I will pass this. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
So Chairman, I think our next meeting, I'll start with that. Our next meeting would be scheduled for November the 13th. At the moment, I'm not aware of any individual cases that we have to review, but that doesn't mean that they will not pop up in the meantime. So if you want to join us on November the 13th at 7 p.m., you'll find the link to that meeting, just like these are on our website at anc1e.org. I did see a question from a community member about posting these, and I'm going to give the secretary a moment to think about if we are posting. I'm not sure, but I will say this one wouldn't have gotten posted either way, because I only got to it this afternoon. Which is why it is mostly a cut and paste of materials that I know are already in the public record. The committee voted to support. That's the only thing that the resolution actually really says, because that's the whereas, or that's the therefore clause. So there's not a whole lot here to review. The committee, which is where we do a lot of that discussion, was the place to really talk about that support or non-support. So I'll leave it at that.
And I will just add to that, the reason that the stipulated license was not on there is because it came to our attention yesterday. And, you know, we try at the ANC to be as responsive as possible, knowing that sometimes our timing on the ANC doesn't necessarily meet the timing of the community, and we want to make sure that we are as agile as possible. And so I apologize, you know, but there are going to be times where the materials are not going to be available, and we will do our best to make sure that we are open to questions, that we give significant amount of time during a meeting to discuss it. And so if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to please raise your hand. That's why we're here.
And I'll just
Commissioner
add
Benney.
really
Yeah.
quick as the secretary, if I have a resolution ready to go, when we send out the notice, I will add a link to the page on the website with the agenda linking to the resolutions. We unfortunately don't always have the resolutions ready at that point, and so I just upload them as they become available. And when they do become available, if I get to them before, if they happen before the day of the meeting, I'll add them to that shared drive, and then folks can access it via the link that's on the agenda page. But yeah, fair ask to try to get these out sooner where we can, and that's a good reminder for us to keep trying to do better.
That's all I have.
Great. Thank you very much. Perfect. So next on our agenda is Public Safety and Engagement Committee. Commissioner Newland could not join us this evening. The committee did not meet in October. He did ask if I would talk through the resolution that he has written, and I'm going to present it now. All right. So the committee, unfortunately, because it didn't meet this month, did not have a chance to formally review this and vote on it, but Commissioner Newland did send it around to the committee members, and the committee members were able to weigh in. There was some broad support for this. So running through the resolution, which is urging Congress to swiftly confirm and streamline the process for DC Superior Court judicial nominations. Essentially, there are a number of vacancies, about 8 of the 62 seats, which represents 13% of the DC Superior Court are vacant. And as a result of that, there are a variety of different backlogs and issues that are permeating across a variety of different topics that influence people's daily lives. And so we outline here just some of the different ways that the DC Superior Court impacts district life, and kind of discuss the fact that political gridlock is the reason for this, and that we are in the district in a unique position where we have Congress, or Congress actually is the President of the United States is the one who actually appoints the DC Superior Court judges, and that it is a Senate confirmed judicial nomination. And so we are at the whims of the federal government, unlike states that have similar judicial level courts. And so therefore, the be it resolved is calling on Congress to prioritize swift confirmation of these nominees, hold confirmation hearings, and to proactively take steps to prevent future delays in the nomination and confirmation process for DC judges. Any questions with respect to the resolution? I went through it pretty quickly. I can stop for a moment if you want to read it. I'm pausing because I see Commissioner Gallagher is reading it, and I want to give him a moment.
Thank you. Just refreshing my memory.
Yeah, and please take your time.
You caught the one typo, so I think that's it.
Awesome. Did you see the resolves as well? All right. Any questions with respect to the resolution? Right, seeing none. Turn it to members of the public. Any questions with respect to the resolution urging Congress to swiftly confirm and streamline the process for DC Superior Court judicial nominees? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none. If there are no other questions, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the resolution urging Congress to swiftly confirm and streamline the process for DC Superior Court judicial nominees.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Right, is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted. Thank you very much. And then I'm going to bring the agenda back up just to note that the Public Safety and Engagement Committee will meet on November 11th, which is the second Monday of each month. All right, with that, we move on to the ANC 1E budget. We have two pieces of official business. And so Commissioner Ray, I'll kick it to you for both of them. And I will start presenting the screen for the.
Yeah, if you could bring up that budget report. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure if this is a requirement, but I kind of liked the idea of it. And so for those of you that are unfamiliar with all of the fun things we get to do as ANC commissioners, because we use DC funds, we have a system that is provided by the Office of the ANC to help keep track of our budget as well as what our spending is. And that spending has to go into the categories that you see down there under disbursements, under personnel, direct office, communications, office supplies, grants, local transportation, point of service, bank fees, and others. So you can tell from here that we were budgeted to receive $18,740. We received $18,240.16. We had I believe we had a balance forward of $14,921, and we spent a total, if you look in the bottom right corner, of $5,721. So we actually spent significantly less than we could, and significantly less than we thought. We did not end up ever bringing on anyone personnel wise to sort of help out. We've talked about that each year, but making that work is always interesting. We did not have any direct office costs. We do not rent any space. Instead, we use the Housing Finance Authority space when we do have in-person meetings, and then we use Zoom. The communication costs were light this year because instead of having to pay for Zoom for the entire year, the Office of the OANC was able to negotiate contracts for all of the ANCs. And so we made a mid-year shift from doing it on our own dime to using the resources of the Office of the ANC. The other communication pieces are things like business cards or other handouts that we have printed over time. That office supply cost was one password, which keeps all of our passwords in a secure location that can be shared, but without having to email things back and forth. We do well with that sometimes. And then we did spend $4,800 in grants thus far this year. I think we've approved a little bit more than that. So in this last month or two, we'll need to write some checks for some other stuff, but that's how much we've actually gotten out the door. With that, I'll pause in case there's any questions. I'm sorry, I should point out that the balance forward now is $27,432 that will go into the new year. And if you remember, last month we put a budget together for that, which looks a lot like this, which tries to spend even more money. But go ahead, Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Commissioner Ray. And again, sorry for the comment, not a question, but we started as a new commission, so we didn't have any funds. And so good that we've been able to save up a bit to give us a little bit more breathing room in the longer term. For any community members out there, you know, we try to do grants as much as possible. There are restrictions on what exactly we can give grants to, but if you have any events that are coming up that you want to see if the ANC can support, please reach out to us. We have money in the budget, and I think that's the best way to help the community, is to spend some of what we get and give back to the community. So please feel free to reach out to me or your commissioner if you have something that you want the ANC to support.
And just to clarify one thing, Commissioner Jacobson, if you are not sure where to go, the best place to start for grants is to go to our Public Safety and Engagement Committee. So email Commissioner Newland. The reason that I say that is because technically we like to have people go to his committee to present their application, answer any questions, things of that nature. But as always, you can always contact any one of the commission, particularly your S&D member. But if you want to streamline the process, please reach out to Commissioner Newland. He has become a bit of an expert on how to go through the process as fast as possible. So definitely. And one kind of additional piece to that, absolutely agree with everything you just said, and highly encourage people to take advantage of this opportunity. One thing that we've done at the early stages in an effort to try and make sure that we were protecting ourselves if any financial situation were to arise, was that we were kind of making sure that we had a little bit of a cap on what grants were going out the door, and now there really isn't one. And so please don't hesitate to try and ask for whatever you need, and we can always talk about what we're capable of doing and what makes sense and what is available not only in our budget but by law. But you don't have to come to us for $200 requests. You can come to us for more, significantly more, if you would like. You can always ask, and we can always just say no. But try.
Well, I will point out that the law is quite restrictive, as the chair has said. But if you're having an event and you're renting something in order to help put that event on, as long as the event is open to the public and is focused here in 1E, rental equipment is an area that we tend to be able to do without too much trouble.
And then I want to just similarly say to the commission, a lot of these funds are also designed to help this commission run effectively. And so if there are things that you are doing within your S&D, I pointed out before, Commissioner Jacobson, I know you do a newsletter. If you have any costs associated with that, that's what some of this is for. I know I've taken advantage of that. And if there are any questions from the commission on what is an acceptable use of funds, the Office of the ANC is very responsive and happy to answer any questions.
So this, I don't know that it requires a vote, but I did put a vote at the bottom of it, just to, not quite sure why.
It's great. Always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, if the public has any questions, happy to answer them.
Members of the public, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. All right, seeing none. Commissioner Ray, one final question, and this is a little bit more selfish, but I know in the last month's meeting in September, we'd approved for me to be reimbursed for some printing costs for some housing advocacy flyers. Can we coordinate after about what is needed to get that done?
Yeah. I think you and I talked about how to get the receipt, so that was, I think, the only question. But yeah, if you,
perfect,
you can take care of that right away.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the ANC 1E 2024 budget report.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the budget report as written.
Any dissent? Hearing none, the motion passes and the report is adopted. And then finally, Commissioner Ray, I will pull up
Yeah, the quarterly. So this is actually just a quarterly statement of exactly what I just showed you. Normally, we probably put this under the consent agenda so that because it doesn't necessarily require a lot of conversation. But since I had the other thing on there, I figured, why not? Go ahead if you just scroll to the next page, because this is just, again, the same numbers, but it's simply for this quarter. But on page 2, it'll show, I can. Oh, does it not show?
Sorry, I think it's blank.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Okay.
Do you have a copy of it? Do you want to?
No,
up
I
real
know.
quick?
I think it must not print the second page. I may have to go into the system for that. Sorry, the second page typically would show what those expenses were as the 609, the 253, and the 4,800. So the $4,800 was 2 grants, one to District Bridges and one to Hoops for Hope. The 253 was a cost to do 1Password. The 609 is reimbursement to me for the Zoom account, our website registration, and the payment of the business cards. I floated, because until we had all of our ducks in a row, we couldn't spend any money, so I floated the commission for the first couple of months. And then I will point out, just so we're aware, 1Password happens to be a Canadian company, and so there was a $7.61 charge from our bank for dealing in Canadian currency. Which is always fun. Anyway, this one we do have to vote on.
Quick question. Was there just a delay?
I think it's just an alignment of the alignment of the payments. I did not see that we received any allotment in this 3-month period, but we had received the previous allotment maybe 4 days before the beginning of the period. So I'm imagining the next one might come, a few days after.
And it's pretty standard that if they have any questions about expenditures or something, they'll hold it. And so it sometimes takes a quarter or so to get
caught up. But as you saw,
yeah.
we've already gotten the full. We got our full allotment for all of 2024, minus the $500 for that Hoops of Hope grant from the year prior.
All right. Any questions or for Commissioner Ray? Treasurer Ray? All right. Members of the public, any questions with respect to the ANC's Q4 budget report? All right, seeing none. If there are no other questions, then I will accept a motion to approve the ANC 1E's quarterly financial report for fiscal year 24 Q4.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we approve this report as written.
Any dissent? Hearing none, the motion passes and the report is adopted. All right. That is all of our official business for the evening. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
I would just bring up the end of year, the annual report, the overall annual report for the ANC. We would need to. Well, we don't. I don't think technically it has to be approved, but if you wanted to approve it, next meeting is our last meeting.
I think it does. Yes. I reviewed the rules around that last night just to kind of refresh my memory. It is a duty under the vice chair's role. And so I will touch base with Vice Chair Brown and see if she needs any support and help. But we'll model it after the report that we did last year that lists some significant events and the number of resolutions, 311 reports, things of that, or 311 requests, things of that nature. But that is a very good segue into, we will not be meeting in November due to the timing of the holiday this year. And so we pushed the ANC meeting back a week, which now will be the first Wednesday of December, and that'll be December 4th. and that will be our last meeting for the year. Just kind of putting it out there, we do also understand that there are things that come up that are unexpected, and if the ANC needs to meet under an emergency session, things of that nature, we are always here to do that. And so if something happens, we will communicate and be responsive. So if there's no other business before the commission, I'll now accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adjourn this meeting.
All right, is there any dissent? Hearing none, the motion passes and we are adjourned. Again, we will not be meeting in November, and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, December 4th. And if there are, the ANC always posts announcements and other information about ANC 1E on our website, which is anc1e.org. Also, please feel free to always contact any commissioner on the commission with any questions. Reach out to your SMD member. With that, thank you all very much and have a great night.
Good night.
Bye all. Thank you.